Hello, hello, hello. I'm Chase Carrington, and welcome to the Chase Carrington Show. Today's episode is especially special because I want to talk about Amplifier4JC. And as the title says, this is my farewell to Amplifier4JC. For those who don't know, Amplifier4JC is a project I had and kind of still have that I would use to share Christian music. Um, I interviewed Christian artists for a time. I had a podcast, a radio show, as well as a fairly active Instagram. And it was a very big project for me because that's where my enthusiasm for communication and media began. And it just began from that project. And if it wasn't for Amplifier4JC, I wouldn't I wouldn't be talking to you here today. Not just because of the technical stuff like the equipment I still use from that time, but also the experience and the people I've met through it that have really shaped me and the direction I've gone in life. And first, why did I stop, or why am I stopping Amplifier4JC? Why are things coming to a close, at least for a time? And the main reason, one of the big reasons, is just the enthusiasm. It's just not there like it was early on in the project, where I'd check Rapzilla every single day to see what's new. I'd listen to everything in my SoundCloud feed. I'd just search out artists everywhere and to just find amazing music. When I figured out that there's really awesome music out there, especially Christian music, if you just look hard enough. I always thought if it didn't come from a record label, it probably sounded like it was from GarageBand. I was very, very wrong. So that is one of the big reasons, just the enthusiasm for just the environment and the culture of both Christian hip hop and Christian EDM has really just lessened, and the direction my life is going just becomes less and less compatible with what I believe is God's will for my life. And of course, there comes also just life changes. Just a lot of the things I had when I was doing Amplifier4JC, it was just things were different. I had different experience. I was really jumping about in what exactly I was trying to do, and I was different. And life comes with many changes. If you watch my last video, that's where I talk about graduation. That is one big change. Now, that's not the main reason, because truthfully, Amplifier4JC has been on the decline a little bit for quite some time, but just these life changes does not make keeping up with the project like Amplifier4JC easier. The third and the most important reason is God's calling. I've really gotten this message since January that just Amplifier4JC, that was an amazing project. I hope it really touched some lives. I know it definitely changed mine. But in the end, I really was learning that God's calling for me was elsewhere, where I am right now, among other areas, which I will get to in just a bit. But that was the main reason, and I've kind of been ignoring this for a bit. I put out the two episodes where I was trying to get back into it, just to see, to make sure. But now I think I've confirmed more than ever that I believe that God's calling for me is not Amplifier4JC, not as it is now, not at this time. So while I reflect and say farewell to Amplifier4JC, I of course want to talk about what I've learned, and I also want to draw some lesson from all this. The lesson that whatever project or programs you either are part of or have created, if they become retired over time, it wasn't worthless. I can tell you, as a matter of fact, no matter how terrible a project may seem when you look back on it, or how stressful it may have been, you definitely learn something from project, both good and bad. So those 3 things that I really learned from Amplifier4JC. First, consistency. The importance of consistency. I mean, sadly, I'm not able to bring this completely over to the YouTube. That's why I'm live streaming rather behind schedule, but I still want to make sure it's on the right day to keep up that consistency. Second thing, communication. I cannot stress this enough. This is where it all began. This is where I began to learn that I have a voice, that I can speak, that I can actually talk. I know it was a big surprise for me too, especially when Amplifier4JC became a radio show and a podcast. That's when it really was brought to the testing limit, and that's when I realized I need to get into communication, learn about this communicating stuff, and really become better at speaking and communicating a message. And the third thing is community. I've met so many amazing artists and promoters through Amplifier4JC. It's been really interesting to really hear the testimonies of these different artists and different Christian creatives, and also to hear what they need and what they wanted from Christians supporting their work, helping them out. It was really fascinating. I learned so much, and I hope I maintain a lot of those connections and relationships even after Amplifier4JC. So those are 3 big things I learned from Amplifier4JC, and I cannot stress enough the idea that no matter how your projects end, you definitely need to learn something from them. So let's talk about the most important thing, what's next. Now, of course, this is a YouTube video. So yes, this is next. The Chase Carrington YouTube channel. And this is where I share videos about faith, the Bible, and I want to diverge into some more content about just life and even Christian marketing. But this is where I feel like, where I know God is calling me in this moment. And the fascinating part about this is, the funny thing is, I've kind of become what I really didn't want to be. Because honestly, I was never big on the whole YouTuber culture thing. I was never really big on the idea of being a YouTuber. I never even liked the idea of being anything close to a celebrity. I mean, I know 100 people. That was good for me. That was fine. But this is where I'm being called to. This is where I'm going to be. And this is where I am now. Second of all, I also am working on some business projects as well. You may hear more about that on this channel. Working on that, working towards something that is sustainable, but also something that I enjoy. And that was another issue with Amplifier4JC. I was putting a lot of work into it, but I never really saw a clear or way I was comfortable with making money off of the project. That's not the main reason, but that's just one part of it, that all the hard work I was putting into it, I didn't see a way I could comfortably even think about monetizing anything, and I didn't really want to do that. But then all the work I'm putting in it could be towards something else where I could be moving forward. Now, what's next? Maybe Amplifier4JC. I will not say that Amplifier4JC is gone forever. The website is going to just redirect to my website. The Instagram, I mean, there's no reason really to replace it. So most of the stuff is going to remain intact. The podcast episodes remain up if you want to listen to my to my songs and my how my shows evolve over time. Be sure to check it out on iTunes and Spreaker. It's still going to remain up as far as I'm concerned. So who knows? Maybe a year, maybe 6 months down the line, God will say, hey, okay, you've gone for a bit, come back to this. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see that happening, at least not in the near future. But all the same, it's all in God's will and timing. So in the end, thank you. If you are coming to this video, if you know me from Amplifier4JC and you're coming to this video from one of the Amplifier4JC channels, be sure to comment on what do you think about Amplifier4JC. And even if you're just from the YouTube channel, you don't know about Amplifier4JC, I don't have a link right now, but by the time this is recorded, I'll add a link if you want to check out some of the Amplifier4JC content, because I am proud of what I've done with Amplifier4JC in the past. Every episode, some are better than others, but I definitely put a lot of work into it. I've learned, as I've said, so much from the project. So I really appreciate it. To everyone, whether you're watching this or not, who has interacted with me and when I did the Amplifier4JC project, thank you so much. May God bless what you're doing, and I hope God blesses what I'm doing now and in the future. I'm Chase Carrington, and you are watching the Chase Carrington Show. Be sure to comment. Tell me about a time where there's a project or activity that you had to leave behind and you still learned something important from it. And also, tell me, do you think Amplifier4JC was a project that you thought was important, or something that you think could have been important? I'd love to hear that all in the comments below. Again, I'm Chase Carrington, and you are watching the Chase Carrington Show. Be sure to subscribe if you want content like this and more coming up. Quick little thing. I know the multi-segment show, I haven't done that recently. I want to get back to the multi-segment, but right now these single segment live streams are working out very well. But a little preview, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I am working on some videos that are both different, but I think will be very interesting, especially with the production value I want to put into them. Be sure to stay tuned. I want to do some Bible Explained videos. That even the last Bible Explained video, which I put a lot of time into that, I want to do another Bible Explained video that will hopefully top that with production value, because I'm having a lot of fun with learning all this about how to communicate a message through this unusual medium of the internet, but most importantly, YouTube. So stay tuned, stick around. I'm Chase Carrington. Oh yes, thank you so much for 100 subscribers and 60,000 total views. Thank you so much. I'm Chase Carrington. I've said that like 4 times, and I just keep on saying it. Goodbye.